Hi everybody, I'm Kevin Meehan, the Program Director at Ambler Farm here in Wilton, Connecticut. And welcome back to another workshop idea for working on your birdhouse. Now, again, the idea for this birdhouse is really about Leshat Town Farm and Weston and Ambler Farm working together to engage people in the community in building birdhouses. You can go to each of our websites to sign up to be a part of our birdhouse competition. So I'm actually going to build a birdhouse with you right now. And the birdhouse that I'm building was actually from a birdhouse that we saw built on the YouTube channel. Now, it's how to build a birdhouse in 5 minutes for $5. So that link is also attached. So I'm going to actually try and do what they did. We'll break it up a little bit, but I will add some details to you. Now, when you watch that video, it's going to show you a piece of pine that was chosen in order to build that birdhouse. Now, this is a piece of pine, a little wider than what's in that video. The thing about pine is that if you don't treat it, it is definitely going to rot or wear out in nature. So in looking through my workshop, I happened to find another board, which I've cut down to 5.5 inches. And this board already has stain on it. So at this point, I'm going to save myself a step. This stain is actually going to protect this birdhouse outside. And I don't have to stain it now because I simply found it in my workshop. You can find whatever you can in your workshop. If it's treated to some extent, it will actually allow the birdhouse to last longer. So on that website, or on that link rather, there are dimensions. So I'm going to start from this end and I'm going to lay out my pieces, and you'll see it just on that video. And what I did was I stopped the video and I took a screenshot, and then I saved the dimensions, and I'm simply going to transfer those dimensions to my board. Now, the first piece that we're going to use is going to be 5.5 inches. So I'm going to measure from the end of my board 5.5 inches. I'm going to make a mark right there. I find it very easy to use a speed square. I put the speed square against the edge and I draw a line all the way across. Now, if you don't have a speed square, somewhere in the house could have an architect's square. You could use that as well, or you don't need that. You could do this. If you measured from 5.5 inches from this end to here, and then you measured 5.5 to here, all you have to do is connect the lines. And to do that, you could use the edge of a saw to connect them, any straight edge that you have in the house. The binder of a book will work just fine. So the first piece is 5.5 inches. Then from there, you're gonna measure out 9 inches. I'm gonna make a mark. I'm gonna put my speed square against there. Now I've got piece number 2. Now I'm gonna go out 8 inches from there. Now, do you need a carpenter's pencil? No, you don't, but it sure does feel good to use one. 5.5, 9, 8. Now I need a piece that is 6 inches. So I'm gonna mark that there. 6 inches here. Okay, now, the next 2 pieces are a little different. I'm gonna come out 8 inches on this side. And I'm gonna make a mark. Now, I'm not going straight across. On this side over here, I'm coming over 6 inches. And from there, I'm gonna connect them on an angle. And that is going to be one of the sides that is tilted for the roof of the birdhouse. Now, so I use up as much wood as possible and don't have any scraps. This side, I'm now going to come out 6 inches. Mark it. And for this one, I'm just going to come across with my speed square. Because if I come straight across, this is automatically 8 inches there. I've just made a pair of the sides that are going to support the birdhouse. Now, from there, I'm going to go cut the pieces. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of cutting these pieces. Now, if you're setting this up to work with one of your kids in the house, you can simply grab the bench that you might use on your picnic table. Now, don't make this mistake. All of my cuts are along this end. I want this extra piece to be last. I don't want to start cutting on this end, because when I get all the way to this end, I've only got a little bit to hold on to support. So I'm going to start with my board here, just hanging over my bench like that. Now, generally, I would put my foot on the piece of wood and I would saw. That may work for you. However, if you have a child in your house and you want them to be able to do it, you're going to have to help them out. I'm going to take this vise, or this clamp rather, and I'm going to clamp this board to the bench. Now, if I clamp it hard, the top of that clamp is going to make an impression in my wood. So I'm going to put this scrap piece of wood there, and I'm going to put this underneath. Clamp that in place. Now, what saw are you going to use with your child? Well, you can use a cross-cutting saw. And when you do that, I'm going to show you how to do that, you're going to pull. So for your child, they might have used two hands. The first cut is always a pull towards you. Make sure their hands are not too close. As you're watching that video, the man who's doing it has his hand very close. Clearly he's used a saw before. I would recommend the hand being farther away. Every once in a while, it's good to blow away the sawdust. I'm going to switch hands. Now, I didn't get an even cut. That's okay. Just snap that right off. Okay, one piece is done like that. Now, if I want to save a little time, I'm going to use one of my favorite tools, and that is called the jigsaw. I'm going to slide this board down, and here's my jigsaw. Now for this, Laura, I'm going to ask you to stand right there. You'll have a better view. For this, I'm not going to bother clamping, so I just want to show you. I'm going to take the jigsaw, I line up that blade, and my hand is right on top. There's no way for me to cut my hand. Be careful you don't cut your bench. Now, this jigsaw is going to cut fairly quickly. It is possible this way to get a little off line, much more so than using a hand saw. So you want to take your time. How you use your jigsaw. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the rest of these, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to put them together. But I missed a step that was important. So I'm going to ask Laura to come all the way back over here. We're going to backtrack. We're going to pretend I didn't just cut my pieces. So when you have your board laid out, it's always helpful to label them. So this first piece is going to be the bottom piece. And I'm going to write bottom on the side. This next piece is going to be the back. Much easier to do this before you cut the pieces and get confused about which piece is which. Now, this next one is going to be the top right here. And then we have the front. And then we have two sides. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go cut these pieces, and we're going to bring you right back, and we're going to show you how to put them together.